macabre, gruesome and horrifying, ghastly, of pertaining to, dealing with, or representing death, especially its grimmer or uglier aspect, of or suggestive of the allegorical dance of death. Prepare yourself for these macabre moments.
I'm Marie Samuels.
I'm Kari Cooper.
And prepare yourself for the resurrection of macabre moments. And joining me this time, I have my twisted sister, Kari Cooper.
And I'm so excited to be here. My little black heart is just filled with glee, Marie.
I think it grew maybe 2 sizes bigger.
Well, like when you're nothing, there's nowhere to go but bigger.
Oh, stop.
So everybody, you notice that we have been pumping macabre moments now on our Facebook pages, on our Twitter, on our Instagram.
Right. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where you'll be able to find all of the episodes going forward. We have decided to go independent and leave the Paranormal UK Radio Network. I do want to thank, and specifically Irene Allen and Andy Mercer, for allowing me and Kari to
thank you so much.
Have a show with their network for almost 2 years. Almost 2 years, Paradivas. It would have been 2 years in March. But we've got plans, people, and we're really looking forward to the direction Macabre Moments is going to go in, and I think that you're all going to really enjoy it as well. So speaking of enjoying the episode of Macabre Moments, our flagship new revamped episode that we have here in December. Month of December, we're celebrating religious holidays. We've got Christmas, we've got Hanukkah, we've got Kwanzaa. We have all these religious holidays. So in sticking with the religious theme, we decided we would give you the gift of exorcism.
Marie, I am so thrilled, over the top thrilled, with tonight's guests.
And Kari actually suggested that I hit these guys up and ask them to be on the show.
Yeah, it was my idea. I hate to. It's hard to be humble when you have such great ideas.
It is, right? And
this was a great idea.
I have to give credit where credit is due.
Yep, so, I'll take it.
We were both really, really stoked when they both agreed to be on the show tonight. There is a documentary on Netflix called Hostage to the Devil.
Yeah.
And we have the director, Marty Stalker, and a very large contributor to the documentary, Jimmy Petonito. Oh, you have to say the name.
Petonito.
Jimmy Petonito.
Petonito. Sorry, Jimmy.
Sorry, Jimmy. They're joining us tonight. The documentary is about Father Malachi Martin. And anybody who is a listener to Art Bell should be familiar with Father Malachi Martin. Those were always my favorite episodes when he would have Father Martin on. When Art Bell would. And so I was telling you off air, it almost brings everything full circle. I mean, Art Bell, I listened to Art Bell back in the 90s, in the early 2000s. I rang in the year 2000 listening to Art Bell by myself in front of a fireplace because I thought Y2K was going to shut the world down.
Wow.
I know. So anyway.
I was cruising around in a limo in Vancouver, and that's all I'm going to tell you.
That sounds fabulous.
Yeah, it was pretty good. There's a lot of other stuff going on, but yeah, it was fun. That's 20 years ago.
Right?
20 years ago next month, at the end of this month. Can you believe it?
I cannot believe it.
Y2K. What's going to happen in 2020?
That's going to be the topic of a future episode, actually.
20. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get back to Marty and Jimmy. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you on tonight.
Thank you very much for having us.
For having us.
So, just to be clear, the one with the accent is Marty, and
yes. Can you understand me?
Absolutely, absolutely.
This is my posh voice, my radio voice.
So, what do you sound like when you're not on the radio?
You will have no idea what I'm saying.
So are you actually having to take a minute to speak slowly so that your accent isn't as thick?
Yeah, yes. So after a long time working in America, I very quickly found out that majority, I'd say everybody in the room had no idea what I was saying because I speak very fast. I'm from a place called Liverpool, and we speak, and I have to soften the accent because nobody knows what I'm saying, and I walk into a Starbucks in America, and the person just looks at me like, okay, I'll say my name, and at the end of the counter, all I'd hear is Monty. So I mean, they have no idea what I'm saying. So I've had to slow the accent down and be a little bit more Downton Abbey, I think.
Marty, that would be terrible if you were drowning or something.
Yeah.
Nobody understood you.
I was
Again,
gonna ask if they serve the coffee.
But that's okay.
Real.
I've listened to a lot of Beatles, so I'm down with the Liverpudlian accents. Okay, I'm gonna know what you're saying.
Brilliant. So I was born 10 minutes from Paul McCartney was. So.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
so close.
Yeah, so close, but yet so far.
Kari can be our translator.
Yes,
okay. 100%. Well, is that the same? Is that like Cockney slang? Is that from Liverpool or is that something else?
Scouse. It's called Scouse.
Okay.
Scouse accent is a Liverpool accent, so that's very Scouse.
Okay, well we appreciate you dumbing that down for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm from Canada, and everybody we say sorry a lot.
Sorry.
That's what we say. That's all we say. Sorry.
I know.
And
or
so,
A is a word here. It's a word, and it has a lot of different uses. Like that was cool, or that wasn't cool. You know, it can mean several things. We say it a lot. I don't know where it came from. I don't know the origin. That's probably another show.
Yes.
The origin of A, Marie. We'll keep that for a rainy day.
Probably like oi is in the UK.
Yeah, maybe.
Could have been Fonzie from Happy Days.
A. No. I hate. No, it's been around longer than that.
Okay.
It was like it dates back to like the fur trappers that were like trying to catch mink and they couldn't, so they were like, "Hey, this is awful." I'm pretty sure that's where it comes from.
Okay.
Hey.
I'm not sure. I just made that up. Sorry, I just made that up. See, again, sorry, I just made that up.
No, Jimmy is with us as well. I think.
I am.
Okay. Where can we find you in the United States? What chunk?
We're in the chunk of the New England area called Connecticut.
Excellent.
Ooh.
Cold. Ooh, another cold climate area.
Another cold climate area where my ancestors said we'll just stay here and never ventured out into the world.
In Connecticut. I just went to New England. I went to Salem, Massachusetts, and I went to Boston.
Oh.
And it's beautiful there.
Yeah, to visit.
Oh, it's not beautiful to live there. I don't know. I drove across Maine. It took a day. All it is forest.
Marty, what did you think of our area here?
I thought it was. Let me be diplomatic in this answer. I thought it was fantastic to make a documentary in. It was beautiful. It was snowy. It was Fargo-esque. It was desaturated. It was creepy. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful palette as a filmmaker to film in.
Perfect.
I thought it was really nice. I thought it was beautiful. I went to H.P. Lovecraft's grave too, just to see if he'd turn over because he didn't like brown girls. He didn't though. Probably wait till I left, the stubborn jerk.
She keeps saying he didn't, but I don't know how she knows this.
Oh, have you ever read H.P. Lovecraft's work?
No, I'm just saying, how do you know he didn't turn over in his grave? Or if he did?
Oh, I didn't see anything happening under the ground.
But, okay. Okay.
And
on that note, we should probably get onto the documentary.
I have abilities, Marie.
X-ray.
On to a really big show.
So, my question to you guys is, what inspired you to do the documentary in the first place? What was the goal? To introduce Father Martin and his legacy to people?
Yes, we had two Irish producers who they were in a pub, obviously drinking as they do, and a priest came over, and obviously they were producers, so they were talking about being producers, and the priest came over overhearing a conversation and said to the two producers, Chris and Paddy, that I overheard your film producers, and they're like, yeah. We're pretty early in our careers, but yeah, we're film producers. And he said, well, you need to do a film about Father Malachi Martin. And they were like, who? He went back, did some research, and the producers were like, right, this is a fantastic sort of protagonist stroke main character for a feature film. So, but the issue was that to write and to get a feature film off the ground with a man not that many people have heard about, and a lot of people who listened to like the Art Bell show years ago and et cetera, will find that fascinating. But yeah, he worldwide, he was not well known, and for producers to write a film about one man who not many people have heard about was a bit of a gamble. So they said, right, down tools, let's make a documentary and try and raise more awareness about this man. He was mysterious, he was charismatic. And a lot of stuff on his Wikipedia probably isn't true. A lot of it is true. So they found me and asked me to come on board. I was like, yeah. At that stage, 7-8 years ago, whatever it was, I was willing to do anything, any project, because I was so keen to sort of to create content. So to cut long story short, I started the research, went down all the rabbit holes, quickly realized the internet was not a good place for research. So then I started calling people who I knew Father Martin had met in person, and that was important. I wasn't just speaking to people on forums who had never met the man before. So speaking to his critics and friends who had met him was the most important thing. So, and then the story was structured from there. So for me, it was about finding real primary sources of the guy, and the rest is history. Really, it was for me personally, it was a 6-year journey. A lot of that was obviously, as filmmakers would agree, was finding the money to make it, because we knew it was an American story. We had to get a small Irish crew out there, and which doesn't, which isn't cheap. Right. So yeah, so that's where we were. So I mean, it was a 6-year journey for me as well. Thoroughly investigated the man. Still only scratched the surface with the first film, and obviously we met Jimmy through the research, and the rest is history. And I'm proud to say he's my friend now, and we're looking at making a second film, sort of spin-off from the first film. So yeah, that's where we are now.
And Jimmy, how did you get wrapped up in this, and what was your hope or goal for the documentary?
Let me tell you, I was I'm still part of the group, but back in the day when Ed and Lorraine Warren had a paranormal group, I was a member, and we used to have meetings every Monday evening, and I remember Lorraine saying, next week we're going to have Malachi Martin come talk to us. And I didn't know who he was. And I was like, who's that? Because he's an exorcist. So that's the coolest thing I ever invented. So I made sure to get a copy of his book, Hostage to the Devil, so I could have him sign it for the next week. So we usually only had like 12 to 15 people in our group. But this particular day, I guess word got out, and there was probably over 50 people there. So I sat in the back to let the visitors sit up front so they could see him better. And then towards the end of at the end of his talk, we were in line to get it, whatever we want signed or pictures with him and everything. And I had my hostage book, and he kept looking down the line at me, like I was all paranoid. Like, why is he looking at me? And so he finally got up to me and he said, he goes, "Were you the one sitting in the back there?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You're my favorite person in this room." He goes, "You have like lights flying off you like I never seen before, and you're my favorite person. Sit next to me." And they made me sit next to him like teacher's pet the whole time, and everybody hated me. So I looked as a kid. I thought like, wow, I'm special. But when I got older, I said maybe he says this to each time he goes somewhere, he says that to someone to make him feel good or something. And then I found out later that he doesn't do that regularly. So anyways, he made a big impression on me. And then he after he passed away, I was looking on Facebook to see if there's any page I could follow, with Malachi Martin information. And I came across the Hostage to the Devil page. Is that Chris's page, Marty?
Yeah, that'll be Chris's, yeah.
Yeah, it's Chris, the producer's page. So I followed the page, and they only probably had like a couple hundred likes on the page at the time. And it said it was a documentary. So one day I just messaged the Facebook page. I said, "Do you have a documentary done, or what's going on?" And then he's like, "How do you even know about Malachi Martin?" I said, "Well, I met him once, and I said I find him fascinating." He's like, "You know him?" Like, yeah. I said, I met him once, and then somebody said we went out to dinner like that week or that night afterwards. So anyway, then me and Chris got to talking, and he says, yeah, we're trying to find people that knew him or worked with him, because it's hard nowadays because everyone was so much older. You don't find many like 80-year-olds on Facebook looking for,
right,
friends. And so they said they were looking for a few people, and like, do you know this person? I said, yeah. They said, do you know this person, right? And I said, yeah. I said, I have all their phone numbers. They said, oh, could you contact them and see if they could help contribute to the documentary. And then you guys were over here soon after that, and
yeah,
we started rolling.
So in the you mentioned that when you met him initially, he said that you had these lights that were coming off you, and he was you were his favorite person in the room. To this day, do you know what he meant by that? Did you ever figure it out?
It's embarrassing to say, but I don't know why he said it, or I don't know if he really sees something, or I really don't know. I never asked him. I was just happy that he said it, because you know what? If he didn't, we this might not even have gotten done. So I look back now and said, if he didn't make that, it's almost like he knew. He was like, I got to make an impression on this kid because he's going to help out in the future.
And maybe that's why he said it, like, without knowing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think that stuff too sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. So the documentary was fabulous, very well done.
It's a solid 6 out of 10.
I would give it a higher rating than that. I thought it was very well done. Yeah, and not biased. Like, it was you sort of presented two different views.
Well, yeah. I mean, Bob Kaiser, he unfortunately died 3 months after that interview. He was the Father Martin's biggest critic of all time, obviously for reasons which I won't spoil for people who haven't watched the documentary yet. But
yeah.
He was the only one he was the only one who wanted to come forward on camera. So I thought that was brave of Bob to come forward, and he basically said to me, Marty, I've got lung cancer. You need to come to Arizona to the hospice and interview me before, basically pop my clogs. And he was totally right. So that was the number one. That was the first interview I ever did for the main shoot of Hostage to the Devil. And I came away and I thought, you know what, he got his voice, and he will, he will be given a platform to voice his distaste and his criticism of Malachi Martin. So unfortunately, I just couldn't get anybody else to come forward who had met the man and knew the man. There was a lot of keyboard warriors who gave me their very negative views of the man. But when asked to come forward, it was no. It was that usual sort of keyboard warrior sort of mentality that they'll stay behind their keyboard in the basement and happily type away. But when asked to sort of come forward and present themselves, it didn't happen. But I wish I could have got more critics to sort of come on board. But all you got to do is you've got a certain amount of time to make the film. You've got a certain budget, and you've got to deliver what you've promised. And I wish it would have gone a little bit more, less biased. But for me, people ask me all the time, what were your views of the man after all your research? My views of the man was he was an incredible human being who was massively flawed, and that is just a human being. We're all human, we all have flaws.
Yeah.
And but he made a massive impact on people. Mm-hmm. And he also filled a void for a lot of Catholics at the time where Vatican II happened, and people were sort of the Catholics were sort of in a sort of bit of a weird situation where there was hundreds of nuns and priests leaving the Vatican during the Vatican II, and rewriting all the rites and trying to get with the people, modernize the church, and all these traditional Catholics were like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
This is not on at all. So Father Martin became basically a voice for those traditional Catholics, especially around the New York area, Manhattan area. And he was a spiritual director to many at that time who felt helpless and felt lost with the faith. So and obviously he set up the underground ministry of exorcism with a few colleagues of his, and believe what you want about the man. He's a bit like we always say, a bit like Vegemite. People either love it or hate Vegemite, and it's the same with Father Martin. People loved him and people hated him. So, and exactly what's happened with the film release. People hate the film, people love the film. So, as a filmmaker, all I want to do is create a film which sparks discussion, which gets people talking about the subject matter. Not just about Father Martin, but about the existence of good and evil. There's the existence of demons, possession, etc. Obsession, which we look at more in the second film. But it's so that's where we are. So that's it.
Hey, Marty, if you don't mind, I never got to say this on any interview, I think.
Uh-oh.
I want you to vouch for me. When these guys came, they wanted to interview me and sit me in a chair with lights in my face. And I said, I really don't want to be on film. I'd rather, get your connections you like and have them involved. Yeah. And then they pointed to the wall of DVDs with exorcisms. I have a wall of DVDs. And he goes, do you think anybody else has all these on their wall? Where are we going to find a person like this? So I said, okay. Anyway, Marty, I just it's just like the timing is really weird. So I got to bring it up. While we're talking to you guys, I'm getting, if you hear I don't know if you're blinging on your line, I'm getting a message that somebody we're working with, an exorcist, just got a message from someone we're working with upside down and backwards. Marty, I sent it to you on your Skype.
Yeah. She's also sending Syriac messages in Syriac as well. Very ancient. So,
and it just came through now while we're talking.
Yeah, I saw it. It's popped up on the screen now. Yeah. No, that's a weekly thing for me. So
okay.
So the subject has sent me a lot of weird stuff. So.
And that was one of the questions I wanted to ask. Did anything strange or out of the ordinary happen to you while you were making this documentary?
I think for me, 100%. It was, to be fair, from my point of view, it was the first film I've ever made with somebody else's money. So this was a big, big job for me. Yeah. And the stuff that was happening to me, I just had to try and stay focused and deliver the film that I promised. And I was having a lot of visitation at home, a lot of weird stuff going on at home with regards to, I was visited by a small child would run across the landing at night when I was locking the house up. And I have daughters. I have 2 daughters, but it 100% wasn't them. I checked on them and they went pretending to be asleep. They were full in deep sleep. I would hear stuff like a girl crying in the house, and the dog. I have Labrador dogs, and one of them, Tom, the eldest, would pin me to the couch and look at something in the room and bark and protect me at sort of a protective stance. There was things, my wife was visited by a cat-like entity, which we still are to this day, which would creep on the bed at night and creep towards her. And this is a handful of a lot of stuff that happened on the shoots. We had cameras turning off unexpectedly. It wasn't, I'm skeptic as well. I'm skeptic about most things, and it wasn't the temperature. It wasn't overheating. It wasn't battery. It was the cameras just kept on, turning themselves off at random points. But you've got to stay. For me, I just had to stay rounded and stay collected and keep the crew together and just record, capture, and deliver a film which I promised. And that sounds quite, macho and arrogant, but I just had to deliver what I promised and forget about all this stuff that was happening, and especially in the house. I felt it was trying to, and I never really felt that malevolent, but there was a situation where I would see a hanging, it was I didn't really know if it was a male or female, but in the sort of your third eye, it always happened in really random moments where I wasn't expecting it, like locking the house up or taking the bins out or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there was we live in an old vicarage, and I'd always see in my sort of third eye, I'd see like some sort of something hanging, a body hanging from the landing. And I never thought nothing of it. And I kept on seeing it now and again, and I thought nothing of it. And it was my wife one night turned to me and said, "Look, I'm having really horrible visions of me hanging from the landing." And I was like, "Well, right, I need to talk to you about this. This is getting serious." So I explained that I've seen the same vision. So it was it got a little bit really serious at one point, and we got some advice. And my father's actually an Anglican Church of England minister, so he gave us some advice. We got some advice from the local priest as well, So again, you just had to just keep chugging along and keep focused and stay on target, basically.
Which Marty, I think is the most important thing, because they say if you give attention to those things, it can get worse, right? So, yes. Macho or not, it's probably in the end what kept you safe.
Oh yeah, 100%. I did think it was trying to not hinder my progress, but it always happened because obviously it was 6 years to make, but I wasn't full time 6 years on the project. So every time I really got stuck back got back into the project, things would happen, and I felt it was trying to be more of a hindrance than malevolence. You know, I never really felt unsafe. I mean, it was creepy. It was trying to creep me out, but I just felt it was more of it was trying to hinder my progress as a writer and filmmaker.
It was letting you know it was there, maybe.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like it was letting you know that it knew what you were doing. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Apparently they'll do that.
Hey, Marty.
Jimmy, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. What's the tagline for the? There's an IMDb page for Hostage to the Devil, and there's a tagline that describes this perfectly. I'm trying to find it. It says, "Don't look at the devil and expect him not to look back," or something like that.
Yes, that's 100%.
Right.
That's it. Right.
So
yeah.
after your stories, mine pale. But I did have a couple odd things happen to me.
Why do you have a wall of exorcism videos is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you that in a second, but I just want to get back to the strange things that might have happened to us during filming. Mm-hmm. One time I was looking for clips for, more dramatic clips from exorcisms to send the guys, or, steer them in the right direction on the DVD. Like there's a good part here. So I was literally all week long for hours looking through every second of the exorcism videos, because you don't know what you missed the first time, or some good dialogue going back and forth between the priest and the person or whatever. So I was doing this for hours and hours, and I literally went upstairs to splash water in my face to kind of wake up. And I have a crucifix on a black cord around my neck I wear all the time. And after I splashed my face, I heard a clink in the sink, and the cross fell into the sink. So I figure it just unraveled where it knots, but there's actually two like cuts on either side of the rope. So it's like it was still around my neck, but just, you know what I mean? It was like snip, snip, and the thing fell in the sink. Then when Marty and Chris talked to me about doing a second project, this is kind of weird. I was in the bathroom. I just took a shower, and I got out, and I saw a dime. I don't know what this means, whether it's good or bad, but I saw a dime go in front of my face and fall to the ground and it made a loud clinking sound. And I was like, where did that come from? Like I was thinking in my head, reasoning like it could have been stuck to the ceiling, and the moisture from the shower made it fall. Like, what's a dime doing on the ceiling? I couldn't think of any explanation. The next day, my daughter, that didn't know this story, comes running from the living room. She goes, a dime just fell from the sky in front of my face, in front of my feet. The next day, my wife says the same thing. 3 days in a row, 3 dimes fell from nowhere in front of them. It's kind of weird.
Well, it's like kind of cheap too. Like if you're going to throw money, at least throw me $100 bill.
Give me a quarter or something. So I can buy a candy.
It's actually a kind of a common phenomenon in the paranormal community, or paranormal area, right? Like coins appearing.
Yeah.
Coins,
weird.
yeah. I've heard that.
But I wonder, I wonder what the message was there. What, like, if there,
I don't know.
Even if there was one.
I almost thought of it. I mean, my impression was a good thing. Not, I wasn't scared of it. I was like almost what do you call it? Reassuring. Like it's okay.
Maybe
like,
it was Father Martin, kind of letting you know, I got your back. Like
that's what I took it more as that than being scared.
See, and
yeah.
For me, whenever I find a dime, I always feel like it's lucky. Like people find, I lucky penny. I have the same thing with dimes. So when you
know what? Sorry.
Do you have the same thing?
No, I was saying I know a lot of people find dimes or find things all the time, but I still have the 3 dimes that fell on my shelf here. I still saved them.
I would have too.
Are they American coins, or what year are they?
Yeah. I don't, actually, I'd have to go through my shelf here and find them, but I saved them because I said, they mean something.
Yeah. I mean, they came out of nowhere.
I got them right here.
But she does have an intriguing question. What year are they?
I'm looking right now. My eyes are really bad, though. All right, let's see. Okay, they're all regular dimes. And, I'm going to have to take a picture of them and blow them up for you later because my eyes are so bad.
That's okay. Tell us about your wall of exorcism videos. Why do you have a wall of exorcism videos?
Okay. I started off primarily like anybody else, like especially before the internet, just going to haunted. When I was a kid, I would buy any, ghost book or UFO book that I could find. And I didn't know where to go to a haunted location because I wanted to get a psychic photograph. Like my favorite picture ever was the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, if you've ever seen that one. Uh-huh. And I wanted to get something like that. And that was my goal in life. So I didn't know where any haunted places were. So I found out where a haunted cemetery was in our area. And I was just taking pictures and I got some really cool stuff. I kept going back week after week. Met somebody that works with the Warrens. And then like it was around 1991 or so. I joined their group and I've been with them ever since. But so it was a natural progression or whatever. I never wanted to be involved with exorcisms. I just liked investigating the hauntings. Mm-hmm. But one day, Lorraine said, because I was, believe it or not, back in the olden days, I had a video camera, which made me the tech expert. That's all. I was the only one with a video camera. So they said, hey, we're doing a house exorcism in Bristol, Connecticut, the next week. And who, Jim, do you want to go so you can record it with your camera? And I said, yeah, definitely. So I remember she said, you have to be in a state of grace, before you go. And I said, what's a state of grace? And she said, you have to do a confession before so I remember I went to the, how you're supposed to have some anonymity in there. You have the little curtain and the weird glass. Mm-hmm. So I said, forgive me, Father, if I have sinned. It's been like 5 years since my last confession. And he's like, well, what took you so long? I said, I have an exorcism tomorrow. So he comes out of his little cubicle, pulls me by my sleeve, pulls me out of it and sits me down in a chair. Says, tell me all about this. So that's how that started. And after we had another group I worked with that we had a haunting in Massachusetts, and it turned into a possible possession, oppression kind of case. So the exorcist, one of the exorcists we work with, said he'd go up there and do an exorcism. So that was the first one I ever went to. That was a real, a person, and I recorded the whole thing. And we this is back in the early '90s. So we put a picture of it on our website just to document tell people the story. And a producer from ABC found it, and they said, would you guys be interested in doing a primetime live special on this case? So yeah, that was creepy. So after that aired, people from all over the country were emailing us saying, we have, our daughter, our son, or our friend or whatever is having similar things and we can't get any help around here. So for the next year, like every Wednesday night, it seemed, we were getting people from all over the country, trying to figure out which person needed it most, which person was legit. And so there was almost a whole year straight that every Wednesday was exorcism day. And that's why I have all the wall of exorcisms here.
Usually it's like taco night, but you have like exorcism night.
Yeah, it's special.
Which is so wow. So you have a wall full of exorcisms. And do you think that all those people were? Because I'm a skeptic. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty skeptic.
No, I don't.
No.
But there's no way of knowing, really, ever. Yeah. But there was what's scary. I mean, there's there's people that bit me. They throw you around. They break out of hospital restraints. Like a 100-pound woman broke out of every restraint we had, like the canvas and buckles and stuff. Like it was nothing. Yeah. But they said anybody could have strength at certain times.
Oh, you should see me drink PMS. Like it's brutal.
But when they have knowledge of the unknown, that scares me more than getting bitten. Because how do they know? Do you want me to give you an example?
No, like I said, I'm a skeptic, but as I'm doing this podcast, as I'm learning, as I talk to more people, I mean, it's starting to believe that it's a real thing.
There's one thing that sticks out to me. Before we had about 7 people in our group, and each person had like 5 or 6 cases that we focused on, and then we'd get together and go through them and see who needed one quicker. So all we knew is that this woman was coming in from I think it was Virginia, and so me and one of the guys in the group, we got to the church first, and we're setting up the altar for the exorcism. You know, we're getting the chair, the restraints, the stuff the priest needs, and we're setting up. And we're waiting for this person to come. Somebody else was driving them in from the airport. So all we knew was a woman from Virginia that needed help. That's all we knew about her. So, you know, when you're in church, you're like, all of a sudden you're holy for the day. Like, so the other guy that was with me was a cop, and he's like, yeah, he goes, me and my mom got into a terrible argument on the phone last night, and I said terrible things, and I want to call and apologize as soon as I get back. So it was just a regular conversation. So now this is, you know, now the lady's there. She's in her chair. She's restrained, and the exorcist is doing his prayers to her and everything. And he's doing a back and forth with her. She's saying terrible things to him and stuff. And like I said, you don't know if it's real or fake, you know. So all of a sudden she turns to the cop and she points at him and she goes, "And you, the way you talked to your mother last night, that was disgusting." And then just went right back to the priest.
Gosh.
And that freaked me out more than anything.
Yeah, I bet.
I just had chills. That was freaky.
Yeah.
So, is there a way that, you know, that you can test to see if someone may or may not be truly possessed? Like, potentially applying water that they believe has been blessed and is holy, but actually isn't?
Yeah. They'll put like if you're just like touching the person, like, you know, you're just touching their back, like just supporting them, whatever. And some people like put a relic on their shoulder, whatever, and they pull away and say it's burning or something. People use fake holy water, real holy water. Sometimes they react to both. Even the legit people will react to fake holy water, it seems.
And I kind of feel like a demon would do that. Like, he would know that it's fake, but would react so that he makes you think they're not really possessed so he can stay.
Just to ruin it, so you never know.
Exactly.
It's like reverse psychology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those bastards.
I'm looking at the dates here on the dimes now. I got 1999, 2003, and 2014.
What? All right. Okay.
Just for the record.
So, when you are called to task to exorcise someone, are these people using Ouija boards? Are they trying to collect EVPs and becoming, like, how is it, or is it just innocent people being preyed upon because demonic entities can do that? Or how does it, do you find that it just all of a sudden they start acting strangely? Or, because I know there's infestation, oppression, and then possession. Is that the three? So are people, I don't want to say asking for it, because that's just the wrong phrase to use, but are they dabbling in the occult? Are they?
Marty, you want to go first?
No, you go for it. You go for it.
Okay. Can I tell you, somebody was saying, like, if you do yoga, that's like, I'm like,
I don't want to argue over how people, you know, that starts a big argument, but we have it all over the spectrum. Like a 4-year-old child that's possessed, like that person's innocent. They didn't do anything to deserve.
Yeah, like, what are they doing?
And there's also people that we've admitted that admit, like, we have one guy that we're working with that he I think it's both of his parents. One died when he was 12 and one when he was 14 or something. Was pretty much on his own afterwards. Oh, then he lived with his grandmother, and then she died. So at 18 or 19, he was all alone, and he kind of hated the world, and he started dabbling in black arts and stuff. He said, I literally wanted to get back at all the doctors and people that didn't help them all they could or something. He was mad. He was angry. And he said, I did all this stuff, and yeah, he got a good doozy there. He had he used to wake up with he's a big dude. He's like 6'3", 280 pounds or something. And he was talking with his friends, and he got lifted up in the air and thrown through a wall. But one time he was sleeping, he said he got he felt like he was embarrassed. He thought he wet the bed because he felt wet in his bed, and he went in the bathroom, and he sees blood on his shoulder. So he looks in the back, and he had 3 scratch marks from his like right shoulder across his back all the way to his waist, like deep gouges. And he's still going through stuff now. And like I said, it seems like it could be generational too. We found out. And it's just they're all theories, but some people.
Generational? Do you mean like it's passed through the family?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what generational is. I've heard that. Generational. I've also heard... Sorry, go ahead.
It was one of Father Martin's biggest worries in America at the time in the 70s was he was coming across cases where it was generational Satanism. So there were children born into these families that worshipping Satan was totally normal. And, like worshipping God, and Jesus Christ, it was absolutely normal to worship Satan. So, so this is generational. So they're getting so deep and entrenched in this black art, like black mass Satanism, that it's very hard to get out of, and that's hence why they were asking the likes of Malachi Martin at the time to help to get out of these sort of cults and Satanist families.
So back to Father Martin. I used to listen to Art Bell religiously, and pun not intended, but back when he did his show. And those were always my favorite shows, was when Father Martin was on. And now this is a spoiler for anyone that hasn't seen the documentary. I'm going to drop some names here. But Art Bell was one of the people that was briefly interviewed in the documentary. What was your impression of Art Bell and Art Bell's relationship with Father Martin?
He was very much... They had basically a telephone relationship. They'd never met in person.
Correct.
However, they bonded. I think Art Bell had a lot of questions as well, which Father Martin, answered for him at the time. So I think Father Martin became his spiritual director at the same time as well, as he called him a friend, but never met in person. However, they spent hours and hours and hours on the phone together. Sometimes at really daft early hours in the morning, depending on the sort of time zone. But yeah, he was very, very fond of Father Martin, and to be fair, I think Father Martin was a catalyst for the success of the Art Bell show at the time as well. So he was very thankful and very, very fond of the man. Very fond of the man.
And then go ahead.
No, I'm saying if anybody hasn't heard those interviews, I've listened to each one dozens of times. They're on YouTube. Art Bell, Malachi Martin are the best interviews ever.
They're extremely interesting. I've listened to them too.
Whether you believe or not, because Art was a skeptic and he just loved talking to him.
Yeah.
Well, he was charming too, right?
And
he was a great host.
And Father Martin was very charming.
Oh yeah, very charming.
And I know he, like that gentleman in your documentary said that he had an affair with his wife and he was a charlatan and he was but whenever I see him or I listen to him, I feel like he emanated goodness. Yes. Like I think he really did love people.
What's funny? No matter how much good you do in the world, somebody's looking for something bad to say.
Always.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I heard a bunch of people dissing Santa Claus the other day for being overweight.
They're fat shaming him,
right?
He gives toys.
He's
be happy.
Like everybody in the world.
He gives joys of happiness.
Right?
Well, let's get one thing straight. At the time when Malachi Martin arrived in New York and Manhattan area, he fell into writing, and his number one income at the time was selling books. So he would say to close friends, that even if someone's bad mouthing him, it's still publicity for his books. So there wasn't the time then of the internet and the forums and chat rooms, and Malachi Martin would say, don't even bother. This is good publicity for me. The Art Bell shows were great publicity as well. But he was selling books, and they were flying off the shelves, as you can imagine. So when people start going on about how he's a charlatan and he's a fake, and Father Martin was like, keep talking, buddy. You're helping me sell books here. People are wanting to find out more about me. So yeah, so that was his bread and butter at the time.
Any attention is good attention. That's what they say.
100%.
Any attention is good attention. And you had some other pretty heavy hitters in your movie. You had John Zaffis, who is hugely known in the paranormal community.
Yeah, that's a funny backstory.
Let's hear it.
So we got Ralph Sarchi finally. I mean, it was funny. I think a year before I started filming the documentary, on our first ever phone call, it was quite heavy. It was like not even hello. It was like if you if you make a bad film about Malachi Martin, I will. It's like it's like a Liam Neeson line. It was like, I will hunt you down, and it was hilarious. So I was like, yeah, okay, thanks, Ralph. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So and then we start the conversation normally, but he was very protective, and you will find I did find a lot of his friends were protective of the man's legacy, which was a fair one. They were very close friends, and here's a guy from Ireland, Northern Ireland, coming in. Wanting to make a story about their best friend or spiritual director, whatever, and of course they're going to be protective of him. So Ralph took a long time to warm to me. I think the fact that I was ex-military as well helped, because he's an advocate of the U.S. military, and he's a police officer himself, retired now. But I think he was, it took a while. So I was like to Ralph, yeah. So we've got this, and this for the interviews. Yeah, John Zaffis just isn't returning any phone calls, Ralph. And he's like, well, give me 5 minutes. So he walked away, phoned John Zaffis, and the interview was planned for the next day. So it was like he was the fixer for me. So it was brilliant. So John, as you know, John is so busy, and it's got so much going on, and I'm sure he just thought, who is this punk, phoning me or emailing me, and Ralph was like, right. And it's all about vouching for people. It's all about once Ralph saw us on the ground, boots on the ground with the cameras, he was like, right, these people mean business and they're serious. So there's a lot of charlatans in our industry and a lot of fakers. So he saw my intentions were good and professional, and he was like, right, phone John, got it arranged for the next day. So it was more about things. John, obviously hearing it from Ralph, right, this guy knows what he's doing. He vouched for me. So we got that interview with John, and obviously got a little walk around his basement of goodies.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about Ralph Sarchie, because Ralph Sarchie, in his own right, is infamous, because they made a movie about his case files. Yeah. For anybody who's listening, called Deliver Us from Evil, and it's with Eric Bana, and I believe it came out in maybe 2013, 2012, Marie, I don't remember, but it's a great film. Yeah.
It's So I
caught that Marty got to go to the Warrens Museum.
Yes, I got an invite from Tony, so Tony Sperrer. So Jimmy was there as well. So that was last year. So
both got to go.
I mean, it was for me. It was like going to Disney World. It was like, wow, this is the mecca of demonology is right here, and it was fantastic. And obviously, Tony set the scene. He had the background music on, and he was giving a nice little tour. But it was great because there was no other people around. It was me and the producer Chris and Jimmy and Tony and Dan Rivera, and it was just a nice little, really personal tour, which was fantastic. Went to see Ed's grave as well. So no, it was a really nice touch, and very and to this day very thankful for that opportunity. So so it was great to see.
Oh, did you get to see the Annabelle doll?
Yeah. I got close. I got a very nervous photograph with it next to the glass. Twitching leg.
Ann dolls are scary enough as it is with those soulless black eyes. I don't know about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Marty.
Yes.
Didn't you have some camera issues at John Zaffis' basement?
Oh yeah. I mean, to be fair, we had issues everywhere we went, so it was like.
And then, but wait, you know what? Wasn't there an incident where you found? I think when you were filming with Rob, you caught like a black shadow moving through the forest, kind of following you guys.
Yeah, so we had a base in Brooklyn where we sort of like a production base where every day we'd go back and just sort of I would go for the footage and log some of the best clips and stuff. And there's a scene where Rob, the CIA guy who was one of Father Martin's drivers, stroke best friends, and he arrives at the house of the it was the last exorcism that Father Martin was involved with, of a 4-year-old girl, and we literally, it was a wide shot of Robert arriving in his Jeep, and we didn't think nothing of it at the time. We just had 2 cameras locked off at the side of the road, different lenses, and we literally just shot him arriving at the house through the woods, snowy woods, and it looked beautiful. So we got back to the flat in Brooklyn, and I was, as you do, you just skim through the footage, and I was speeding up the footage, and I realized, what the hell is that? And it was literally, when it's sped up, you see it more, but there's a shadow which creeps. It never goes beyond the car. It always stays behind the car. And it was a shadow just filtering through the woods as the car arrived at the house of Father Martin's last exorcism. And it was just really creepy. And, obviously skeptical head, you're like, oh, come on. It's just, obviously it's light shifting with the sun and clouds and stuff. But it's the fact that it just followed the car. It was so smooth, and it was just really eerie to look at, and
it was deliberate.
Yeah, I mean, it was like Robert's arrived. You know, he hasn't been there for so long, and it was obviously the site of Father Martin's last exorcism. So it was, but yeah, I sped it up, and yeah, there's actually, I'll tell you what, I'll send you links. We did a few behind the scenes, little short clips where I'm talking to Chris, the producer, about all this. So I'll send you the links. You can stick it on your pages or whatever you've got, social media, whatever. I'll email them through on Skype in a minute. But these are little behind the scenes, little vignettes that we did about the making of Hostage to the Devil. So yeah, I'll send them through. So we talk about everything from the kit malfunctioning to the characters we interviewed. So yeah. But it was again, skeptical head. You're like, oh come on, it's just it's luck or whatever. But it's just in context of what we were doing. Robert was arriving, and it was the first time. It was just I was like, nah, this is on purpose. This is a warning.
Yeah, but like still as a documentary filmmaker, that's like film gold.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean to be fair, from day one, being involved with the project has been gold. To follow someone like Father Martin, it's very much like there's so much material to go through. And the situation that I had was, especially in the edit, so I had a certain amount of weeks for John, the editor, and I to cut this down to 86, 90 minutes, whatever it is now. And the issue that I had was there's so much material there, and what I was trying to do, which was evident in the first cuts, was to try and make a film about exorcism and try and make a film about Father Malachi Martin. And it was strikingly obvious when I watched the first cut and the producers came in, the execs and the big film commission came in. I was trying to do too much within that time frame, and it got a little bit messy and a little bit distracting. So, as a director in my career, it was the first time I really felt isolated, in the sense the question was brought to me that, you can only make this decision. Are you making a film about Father Malachi Martin, or are you making a film about exorcism? So I had to go away. I walked the dogs, and I had an hour to come up with a decision. And we had 3 weeks left in the edit suite, which wasn't long, but the main bulk of the story was there. So I rang a writer friend of mine, Richard, and I told him the dilemma and said, look, I've got an hour to reply and to tell them what I'm doing with this film. And he said to me, Marty, go back 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, when you first got involved with the project, and that initial meeting with Chris and Paddy, the producers, what was your initial feelings when you were in that room? And my initial feelings were, how come nothing's been made about this man before? And that was the answer. I had to go back in and make it more of a bio of the man. And when the film was released, I was very proud of it. It got into Fright Fest. We promoted it. Netflix bought it in Cannes, and literally, I still couldn't sleep at night. And I was like, something's wrong here. What it was subconsciously, I still wanted to make that exorcism film, and I couldn't with the first film. So hence where we are now, and Jimmy's involved. We are lucky. It's called the Devil Within. It's a second film where we're looking at contemporary cases of demonic oppression and obsession. So we're looking at the more. Obviously, demonic possession is so rare, extremely rare. It's for me as a filmmaker, I knew it would be very hard to find a true case of possession. So we found a handful of cracking cases, contemporary cases of obsession and oppression, which we're going to be filming a live exorcism. We're going to be, it's going to be. For me, it's going to be groundbreaking, but also a film that I wanted to make in the first film. So for me, I hopefully get closure. Spiritually as well, I'm at a crossroads with my faith. You think, making the first film, maybe I would have come to an answer by now. And being the son of a vicar doesn't even matter. For me, I'm really pushing the second film for me when we get the girl into the church and we press record. And over the 5 days of exorcisms, whatever it's going to be for the second film, I'm hopefully, personally and selfishly, will have some sort of answer to my own questions about faith. So I think we're all the contributors of that second film. We're all in the same boat. Where I'm sure Jimmy as well. He's seen a lot of stuff as well. And literally, the premise of the second film, The Devil Within, is basically we're taking. Jimmy, we're taking a former retired paranormal investigator out of retirement to basically prove the existence of demons. And the premise and the main question throughout the second film is, how far is this investigator willing to go to prove the existence of demons? And the answer to that is he's willing to bring and organize an exorcism of this woman who he's never met in person before. He's been through her case study notes, and he's willing to set up and manage an exorcism over 5-6 days, whatever it is, in a church, in the undisclosed church with an undisclosed exorcist of the faith, of Catholic faith, and literally are willing to do this for this woman. And that is the answer. And I can't tell you what's going to happen because we haven't filmed it yet. And that's next year. But that is the premise for the second film, and Jimmy is the anchor and the sort of reluctant protagonist. And Jimmy's a very humble person, and like I said before, when I made the first film, he didn't want to be interviewed at all. However, you have to look at reaction from the first film, and I'm willing to bring, and Jimmy's willing to be brought out of retirement and to get his old team back together again, and to and so for me, really, I think, and Jimmy will agree, it's probably his last push to really prove the existence, which is a very competitive industry. You've got all sorts of paranormal teams setting up around the corner and all over the place, hundreds of Facebook groups. But this for us is getting serious head on, and right, what, we can do this collectively, we can do this, and we can again, try and prove as best as we can, but we have no idea. It's ambiguous. It's just we have no idea what's going to happen until we get that woman into that church.
But it's also a proof of the divine spirit that people call God. I mean, there's so many different words for God, the creator, the spirit, Buddha, whoever.
Yeah.
But to me, I think that's the most important thing, is that we do have this source of infinite love that comes and helps us in times like that. And I think it's more of a proof of God, is it not, than the devil?
Oh yeah, 100%. You can't have one without the other. 100%. So yeah, I mean, it's and it's not, we're not exploiting the woman, we're not exploiting the other people in the cases that we're looking at. This woman's willing to come forward. I've never read case notes like it in my life. And a case goes back years. She's already had exorcisms with the Roman Catholic Church in Austria for so long now. I've read the exorcist case notes. I've read the psychology reports. I'm not jumping in this with both feet without checking details. This has been a very thorough investigation ourselves, and I'm personally being sent messages in Syriac, in ancient languages. It's things are going on, which obviously I'm collecting as a filmmaker. I'm collecting all this evidence, but we've had an infrared camera installed in her apartments in Germany, and some of the stuff that we're picking up is an audience will still be divided. You can have things flying off shelves and tables, but people are going to think, oh, they've obviously wired it. It's a thermal imagery camera. You can hide fish wires and all that stuff. So for me, it's about bringing her into that church. And you know what? And if audience is still divided, then they're still divided. That's fine. But for us, we're on a mission to try and prove something that science can't explain, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and everybody says that science and spirituality are two different things, but I'm like, they're kind of like they merge.
Yeah.
They merge.
Why can't there be both?
Yeah. Like they merge pretty heavily. Because science is faith-based as well. I mean, people who pursue scientific studies at some point believe that they're going, to work, and then they pursue it scientifically to prove it.
I got an interview with one of the most qualified psychiatrists in New York, and this guy is, he is qualified up to the max. Yale trained, and he's a Catholic, and he believes, and he's been on some mainly obsession cases, but this guy has seen a lot of stuff, and he's written a book now. I can't remember what it's called, but his name is Richard Gallagher. He has his critics. As well as Malachi Martin did, but he came on board. I got an interview with him, and this guy has witnessed stuff that he couldn't explain, and he's a Catholic now, and he's preaching the this is all true. And so again, we're not, all I want to do is selfishly make a thought-provoking film, but also personally to find answers myself, as my a lot of spiritual, a lot of answers about my religion. Or
I have some information right off the top of my head that'll help with that, Marty. Richard Gallagher wrote a book called Demonic Foes, A psychiatrist investigates diabolic possessions in the U.S. A world's leading psychiatric authority on demonic possession delves into the hidden world of exorcisms and his own transformation from cynic to believer.
Yes.
Holy mackerel.
He was a big. He met Father Martin twice during cases in the 80s in New York. So he also met Father Martin in person. So yeah, their paths crossed. Their paths crossed in the 80s. So yeah, I mean, this guy was a vessel of information. It was, yeah, and he's about 6'7" as well. He's a unit. He is massive.
Wow.
And he was extremely charismatic as well. So he was willing to come on camera. There's no interviews for media. There's no interviews at all. But he was willing to facilitate an interview with myself on the back of Hostage to the Devil documentary. So very privileged to interview him. Yeah,
and that he's going to be in your next film.
Yeah, he's going to be definitely in the second film. Yeah.
And why? This may be too personal of a question, but why do you think you're struggling with your faith? Are you struggling with your faith? Maybe I didn't put that the right way, but
yes. I can't really explain it. I mean, a lot of people out there go, "Oh, Marty sounds like he's being oppressed," or I don't know. It's just been a few personal incidents. I've seen a lot of things in the military, and it's just, it's a difficult one. I should be a believer. Looking at my my upbringing and obviously the subject matter that I've looked at in the first film, I am probably 60-40 believer. So
I hate the word should. You shouldn't. Well, I just used it, but no, nobody's saying that you have to be anything. No, I mean, I think a lot of people, especially in this time, look around and we see more evil than we see good.
Yeah.
So we're like,
100%.
Where's God? Where are you?
Oh, 100%. So some of the stuff I saw in the Middle East, it would really, you question a lot of things when you come back. But I think, personally, I think, I'm not saying that I need something to sort of, to see it with my own eyes but Lorene, who is a psychotherapist who's part of Jimmy's team, and she was featured in the first film, would say about it. It's about feeling something in the room. You can't really explain it. It's just when you just know when you're in that room, you just know something's not right, and it's maybe to do with energies or whatever. But you can't really. You just know when you're in that situation, you just know something's not right, and that's what like, I want to experience.
Conduit for that energy. Our bodies are conduits anyway, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
it's
100%.
the worst. Yeah. It's the worst question I get asked when somebody says, "Could you describe the feeling in a room when you feel it's real?" And I can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Father Malachi Martin say in that documentary, think of the worst thing you can possibly think of. It's worse.
It's 10 times worse. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, and we're probably just like getting the cusp of any of that. You getting visitations, Jimmy.
Yeah. You know what's not nice either. When it's like, like I said, a lot of these were before internet, so everybody didn't compare notes on what they should say during an exorcism. Yeah. But you see all of them that say, to us, they threaten the priest, and they think, don't think you assistants are safe either. We're gonna get you. It might not be today, tomorrow, or we're gonna get you eventually. Well,
it's like last week. Putting my 2.5-year-old son to bed, and he turns to you and says, "The monsters are coming, Daddy." I'm like, okay, how does he know about what monsters are? Mm-hmm. And it was just, and two, he looks really scared. And I'm thinking, this is not normal. This is not. And I've just literally last night I set up a trap camera in his room, an infrared trap camera, just because he hasn't slept well since he was born. I mean, I got more sleep in Afghanistan, to be honest. But that's parenthood. That's parenthood. Yeah. So I've actually installed a infrared trap camera, which I used recently in Africa to find rogue lions. But I've set that up in his room now because I'm thinking, you know what? Let's just see. Let's just have a little look and see what's happening. So, he hasn't slept well at all since he was born. But the way and he's only 2.5. How does he? How does he even know about monsters? I mean, he doesn't read or look at anything, on YouTube or nothing. It was quite creepy. Another creepy moment of the hundreds that I experienced.
Yeah.
And speaking of creepy moments, I want to go back to the entity or whatever it was that you caught when you were filming where Father Martin performed his last exorcism on the 4-year-old girl. Yeah. I find that extremely compelling considering the circumstances of that exorcism and what happened afterwards.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it was a very emotional moment for Robert to go back because, as you'll find out in the documentary, a few days later, Father Martin passed away, and he knocked his head in his apartment. So,
right, and
Robert's come back.
He believed was that the demon pushed him off the stool.
Yeah, the stool was swiped, from under his feet, and then obviously,
and then unexpectedly goes into a coma. Now, he said he went to in the documentary. It says he went to the hospital after the fall, but it doesn't say for what reason. Like, what can you?
Yeah, it was a hemorrhage, and it was a brain hemorrhage. So
he was having some symptoms that made him go to the hospital.
Yeah, there was a leak. There was a leak in the brain, which they didn't find out on the scene, so they didn't address it straight away. So he banged his head on. He fell off the stool. The stool was swiped, as he recalled, in the hospital to Robert and a few friends before he passed. And so he arrived at the hospital alert, and then very quickly slipped into a coma.
Didn't he say something like "Old Scratch finally got me"?
Yeah, Old Scratch. Yeah, Old Scratch. Yeah. So it was and Robert would always say it was a battle which, he was constantly fighting.
Marty, the biggest question people had after the first film was what happens to the little girl.
Yeah,
well, that is in the documentary, though, isn't? I was just going to say, 4 years later, doesn't Ralph Sarchie go in and do an exorcism on the same girl?
Yeah, so when she was 8, so 4 years later, Ralph Sarchie with his team and exorcist perform exorcisms where she starts speaking Latin, fluent Latin, and during the rite, and things just happened. It was so long ago that I think they lost touch with the family, and I think there was an issue with. I'm actually not going to say that because I have no proof, but there was issues in the family which they found out as well. So no one at all knew the conclusion to the little girl, or she's a grown lady now. And there was 2 rumors which during the making of the documentary, I couldn't really close it because half the camp believed she'd killed herself in suicide as a teenager, and then the other half of the camp was saying no, she was a successful model and went on to and she was freed. So I had to put a scene in the film where she walks out the chapel, and in a reconstruction where the question is, was she saved or was she not? I mean, I couldn't answer the question, and even to this day I can't fully answer the question. So I couldn't have chosen one answer and without the evidence, so I had to leave it ambiguous.
What was Ralph Sarchie's opinion?
At first he couldn't tell me. Last year he believes he's tracked her down, so she's alive and is fine.
We know where she is, and she's supposedly fine right now.
Right.
So maybe
what I got from the documentary was it seemed like the second exorcism performed by Ralph Sarchie was successful.
Yeah. But there was rumors that she killed herself, though. That was the thing where I couldn't really close it because it would be disrespectful of me to suggest that she,
But Jimmy,
it was a very difficult part of the narrative to close. Unfortunately, and it did frustrate a lot of people. But I couldn't close it at the time. The time that I had to make the film, I couldn't come to a close.
But Jimmy, you were saying that you have located the girl and she's alive and well.
Well, there's people after the film came out, like we said, we didn't know the resolution of her case, so they couldn't add anything. But since it came out, they said, "Oh no, we know where she is. She's fine. They know her name and where she lives and everything." So maybe we could revisit that a little bit to give some closure.
Yeah.
Poor kid.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's just
and don't get me wrong. A child at 4, when Father Martin was involved, she was not possessed. She was obsessed. She wasn't possessed.
Okay.
To get the 4-year-old to give her full will over at 4 years old is extremely unlikely.
Yeah.
If you look at it in the sort of criteria of what possession is, there's no way she would have fully given her will over at 4 years old.
Marty, I know that we have like more footage than what you showed in the first one about her, but I don't know if this made it or not. But the creepiest thing to me was when she was saying a Latin prayer to the priest, and he turned around and looked at her like, "What?" And he goes, "How do you know that?" She goes, "What? Am I not doing it right?" Or something like that.
She said,
that was so creepy.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's in the video.
Yeah. And her giving him like the salacious wink, and
we get a lot of that.
Like there is some really chilling moments in that documentary, which makes it just fantastic.
Well, I mean, in the edit, I actually cut the film in Dublin, in Windmill Lane Studios and John O'Connor, the editor. I came back from America with all these hard drives of footage, and I planted a hard drive on his desk and he said, "What we're going to do? What we're going to do first, Marty? You know, we're not going." I said to him, "Well, first of all, we're not going to start the film from scratch. We need to cut this scene now, because if this scene doesn't work, the film is ruined." And the scene was bringing Robert back to the house in Connecticut. That's the first scene we ever cut. Because I thought that's the main event of the film. That's at the 60-minute mark. That, you know, we brought the audience this far. We have to make this scene. I know in my head I already knew it's going to work because I'd shot it on the ground. But that was the first scene we put together, and it worked. And then we could just, you know, cut the rest of the film. But no, it was a very chilling moment for everybody on the ground as well.
That's also what makes you capturing that thing in the woods so compelling. His reaction when he, you know, returned to the house. I think he was surprised himself with the feelings and the emotions that he was dealing with.
Yeah, 100%. It was. I mean, I have made a lot of people cry in interviews, but I've never made a CIA guy cry before. So that's made the top 5 favorite moments.
So
no, he was a good egg. Robert basically spilled everything to us, and he was a supporter from the start. And again, like I said before, just people were very protective of the man and very cautious of the angle that I was going to take. Was I going to come in and totally strip this guy's legacy to bits, and I just had to find that balance. But Bob Kaiser was the guy who caught me out. We're on the telephone call before his interview. He said to me, "Marty, I need to know one thing, Marty." And I said, "What, Bob?" And he said, where do you lie with the man yourself as the filmmaker, storyteller, writer, director? What are your thoughts about the man? And I, you know, naively said, "Oh, I'm on the fence with the guy." And he laughed, you know, as Bob does. His laugh, and he said, "No. You by the time you finish this film, you can't stay on the fence with this guy. You've either got to, you know, you're either on the one side of the fence or the other." And he was totally right. Mm-hmm. And if you watch the film and you sort of step back and you reflect on what I put together, I was a fan of the man. I was a supporter of the man. But, you know, again, he was flawed, and we all have massive flaws. And he was a human being. He wasn't a saint, but he was a human being, and he helped a lot more people than the others. So, I mean, he sort of called me out very early on in that. So, but no, for me, you know, on record, I am to this day a supporter of the man and what he was trying to do, which was to broadcast messages about the existence of good and evil through radio and TV, which was unheard of as a priest to do that.
And battling it, because he went to bat for people. He was helping people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
In the way that only he could.
Yeah.
And in the way that, Jimmy, it sounds like you have done and are going to be doing in the future for the next documentary. You're coming out of retirement.
Well, yeah, I guess I was kind of retired only because when my daughters are 19 and 16 now, and I just remember coming home when they were little, you know, when they're babies basically. And I'm coming home reviewing exorcism tapes all day long, and I said, well, why do I keep doing that? You know, I don't want to chance anything, so I kind of got out for a while.
Yeah, because how do you merge those two things together, like the softness of your sweet children and then this harshness of this dark subject material? I don't know.
Well, I always feel protected myself, but I'm saying, you know, that's one thing I worry about is, I don't mean like putting that into the air, but I don't want anything to happen to my kids because I'm involved with this, you know. Yeah,
that's why Samantha Harris, who is a female demonologist, quit. She had a baby, and she's like, "I'm not doing this anymore."
Yeah.
Didn't want to have anything to do with it.
When you're performing an exorcism, and this is just a general question, is it true that knowing the demon's name is what's the word I'm looking for? Well, you won't be successful without knowing the demon's name. You have to know it.
Takes away their power, apparently.
It's part of the rights to one of the questions is ask the name so you could address it as that name.
But what if you can't get the name?
You keep trying. You don't give up.
You just don't. And eventually, it'll
could take 2 years.
That must be agony for people.
I mean, some of these exorcisms, not mine personally, but I know Malachi Martin. Some of these are in an hour. They seem to be helped, and other people go on for years, and some people never. It's strange.
So I wonder what that depends. Does it depend on the entity that's possessing them, or does it depend on the person, or the?
I think all the above, Marty.
Yeah, it depends how entrenched they are in Satanism or the occult. I think it's how far you are down that abyss. It's a bit like mental health. The depression. How far you are. Not getting. And the longer you sort of restrict help, the longer it's going to get.
Just how deep you're in it.
100%. You just get so deep and deep and deep. It just takes longer for you to get extracted from that.
And we don't have all the answers. We're still learning ourselves.
Oh no, 100%. We are nowhere near there. I mean,
those Satanists are deceitful though, because when I was in Salem, we saw the Temple of Satan or whatever. What was it called? Yeah. Satanic Temple.
Church of Satanism.
Church of Satan. So my friends and I were going, okay, we'll go in as a joke. And they're sitting there telling us, oh no, we don't believe in devil worship. It's not devil worship. It's just we're just Satanists. We just want if people are going to say the Lord's Prayer, they should say our tenets, and they've got like 9 or I don't know how many. I didn't pay too close attention to it, but no, we don't believe in devil worship. But we're just against organized religion, and I'm like, and I sort of kind of called them out because I was like, well, if you're calling yourself Satanists and you're in Satanism, isn't that kind of an organized religion? Oh no, it's not. This is an art gallery. And then I was like, kind of,
imagine them trying to lie to you.
Well, and if you're using the term Satan, right? They're Satanists. I mean, that makes them hypocrites right there.
Well, the Satan just means the adversary.
You know what weird story? When I was, when you're 14 years old and you're not sure what to believe in and you're experimenting with all, you're questioning God and because I was born Catholic, that means I'm right, And I remember I was in a bookstore and I was looking at all different, the New Age area in a bookstore, and they had like astrology, the Satanic Bible, they had all the different, denominations and stuff. And I was looking through all the different books to see what. I was just trying to learn. I wasn't sure. And then I picked up the Satanic Bible. And I think I was 13, 14. But anyways, I picked it up and I wasn't scared. I was like interested. Like, I want to learn about all this stuff. And it literally threw itself out of my hands like 10 feet down the aisle.
Wow.
I said, okay, that's not for me.
That's not for me. Yeah. I don't know what these Satanists believe. I mean, I don't know.
I think
I have different views of God. Like, I went to Catholic school. I'm adopted. My family's Irish English. I went to Catholic school, but my grandfather was a
very controversial right there.
Yeah. I went to my grandfather was a Protestant minister, but I went to Catholic school. And I think I have very different views on God. I think that God is infinite love. That's what I think. And I think when people blame God for the evil things that happen on earth, I think it's men and maybe demonic forces in some cases that are doing the evil on earth. But I think when the people that help, the people that spread love, the people that spread awareness, I think that's God, right? Like, personally, that's what I believe. And is everybody still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, pardon?
Quite deep.
Because I think people struggle with their faith, and I don't know. I a lot of people do, but I never have, because I guess I see God in a lot of places. If you want to call him God.
It all depends on your personal experiences. But that's why I don't argue with people, because they haven't experienced the things I have. So I'm not going to argue with them and try to prove anything. But I had an experience as a child that it's a whole show. Don't even try to get me started. But it's a whole experience that I consider miraculous that I will never doubt my faith ever because of stuff that happened. So
yeah, I'm with you on that, Jimmy.
Like experience, you know.
Yeah, Jimmy, like me too. Like I've just felt, I don't know if like the presence of this infinite love force that people call God, Allah, Buddha, whatever. I don't know. There's like lots of different names. I don't know. I just believe that it's there. And I think that it's there to help. And I think that it's there to love. And I think that infinite love is, at the end of the day, stronger than anything. Because can I tell you, one of the scariest thing about your documentary was at the end when, what did Father Martin say? He said that he's stronger than anything. The devil is stronger than anything.
Yeah. With all the lack of faith, you mean?
I guess. I don't know. What did he mean by that?
I think that he died in 99, but definitely sort of mid-90s, he saw a massive lack of faith. You know, the church was in, diminishing numbers at church and stuff. I think he just generally just saw a diminishing lack of faith. And we had like wars like Kosovo and genocide going on and Bosnia, and it was just to be fair, the world's not perfect now, but I think he just saw that where the world was going, and people just losing faith, and not getting to confession.
And he saw this stuff 30 years before it happened. I can't remember all the details, but if you listen to his interviews, he had a lot of prophetic thoughts.
Yeah.
Like he saw things that were going to happen.
Yeah.
And I had I don't like comments. I'm not a skeptic. I do believe. I'm just not fully there yet. But there was a situation whilst making the film where I had a vision of Father Martin. It was quite a strange vision. It's a strange scenario. I was in the shower and I had my head bowed, and the water was running across my head and washing my hair, and I just snapped into this vision, and I was walking down a New York street. I don't know where it was specifically, but it was definitely New York. And walking along the pavements, and people were bumping into me from behind. People were bumping into me on the approach, and I felt like it wasn't just because it was congested. It was very much intended physical push, like a note to say. It was like what a bully would do in the playground. Yeah, exactly. And I was getting bombarded by these shoulders and getting pushed around and through this mass of people who were trying to barge me and trying to, and trying to sort of put me off and really sort of, put the fear of me. I saw this I saw this very small framed priest, and it was Father Martin, and he had a smile on his face, and sort of I eventually got towards him, and people were still shoulder barging me and stuff, and he put his hand out, and I put my hand out, and just as we touched hands, I woke up from the vision, and I was back in the shower. It was totally, and I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up.
Why would you?
I believe you.
I don't do this.
Marty, if you made it up, you wouldn't have it in a shower.
Exactly.
Or you'd be making up something better, I'm sure.
Yeah, I could have changed it to a little bit when I was in the living room drinking a cup of coffee, but no, it was a strange moment. Again, it always caught me off guard, and it was looking at that experience, I felt like the journey was arduous. The journey was full of dips and full of a lot of negativity and. We're not going to make it. Yes, we're going to make it. We haven't got the money. Yes, we've got the money. So there was a lot of corners and dead ends and whatever. But I think he was saying was keep going. Keep working. Keep progressing through the crowd of people who want to stop you from making it. And he was happy and he was smiling and it was a sign from him saying, you're doing a good job. So for me, that's my interpretation. You could change it to other things, but that's what I got from it.
That sounds like a pretty accurate interpretation, because spreading awareness is also helping people, especially people, because I think people who have oppression or infestation or these things, they feel very isolated. Like there is no help. Like people aren't going to believe them. There's nobody to help them.
Well, just like from the first film, we're getting people that saw that film and finding us from there. So it's still going on.
The funny thing is, you've got to search for it. Netflix bought a 4-year license of Hostage to the Devil, but you've got to search for it. So the thing was, it was like, it's going to go out on the 17th of January 2017 at this time, midnight in the UK. And I was refreshing the page. Where is it? Refreshing the page. Oh, it's not here. It's all been a lie. This is not going to happen.
Yeah.
I've told everybody that's going to happen. Told my family and friends. Now they're going to think I'm a liar. And then I searched for it and I found it in the bottom, right in the bottom of the documentary section. And it was like I don't quote me on this, but it was like they had just put it so far in their library of films. And it was like, oh, okay, this is a film about God and the devil and demons, and we'll put it in the bottom of the library. No one will find it. That was my interpretation. So people were like, I'm not on social media anymore, but at the time I was on social media, and people were tweeting me and DMing me saying, where is the film? I can't see it. And I said, you have to search for it. And they paid and they bought a license to show this film, but they did no promotion of it, and you've got to really search for it. I found it strange. A film they spent.
You actually have to type it in to find it.
Yeah, it was strange. So yeah, you will find it when you type it in.
Is there a deal with Netflix? Like how many years it runs, or how does that work?
Yeah, so they bought a 4-year license. Yeah, so it runs out in 2021. So it'll be, and then we can resell it, or with the second film coming out, we can sell it as a 2-film deal or whatever they want to do with it. But no, I'm not sure if it'll go back to Netflix after the 4 years. I didn't really get a good sort of vibe from them anyway. So I don't know. It's we'll be seen.
I found it very easily. I just said,
I did too.
Voice remote. How you talking to your remote control, and I just said the title, and it took me straight to it.
But if you went blind into the documentary section, it'll be, I can guarantee, one of the last films in the hundreds of documentaries they have in their library. I'm just
specifically looking for it, Marie. He means like just it's not in the forefront if you're just searching documentaries.
No, 100%.
It's not with Home Alone and Christmas Carols.
It's definitely not a Sunday afternoon film, no.
But you have more options now. I mean, you could put it on Amazon Prime too, which
Yeah, it's on iTunes. It's on iTunes at the moment. Amazon Prime at the moment, and so there are other VODs. There are other VODs you can watch it on. Yeah. And unfortunately, for some strange reason, the distribution company didn't want to do a US DVD release, which was a real shame, because the biggest audience was in America, obviously, because of the Art Bell show and stuff. So it was disappointing, but. Yeah, we just everything's VOD crazy now, and it's it's just a business. Filmmaking is a business, number one. So, yes.
But it could be a slow burn too, because people are having a lot of cosmophobia now and existential dread, and it could be a slow burn too, right? Like because people are
100%, yeah.
People are very end of times.
Oh yeah.
Right now. So if it's not zombies, it's going to be biblical, right? So, and you did make a show about zombies. The Ash, right?
Yeah, they're called Great.
You've got an impressive list of films here, and I want to watch. I actually want to watch all of them. I want to see The Ash, and I want to see that other one.
It's on Alter at the moment. Alter and Dust, the sci-fi and horror platforms on YouTube. So you can watch Safe Haven for free on YouTube, Alter platform, and Dust as well. So the Sci-Fi channel picked it up as well. So yeah, so that was that. Yeah. So in the sort of pre-interview, I was explaining that drama is actually my passion, my ultimate passion in life, and I'm very realistic in the sense that I will direct feature films sometime in my life. I'm willing to keep doing factual and tell stories through in the factual format. But no, my ultimate passion is drama and live action.
Drama and live action. Drowned at Birth looks really interesting as well. And To Lose Control.
To Lose Control is a story about me. So it's a semi-biographical account of my issues leaving the Royal Marine Commandos in 2008. So it's actually a true story, which it was my sort of final chapter in my transition to civilian life. So it was that's a cracking project.
Which must have been really difficult, but thank you for your service. Thanks for
no problem at all.
Going over and doing that. See, that to me is like proof right there of an infinite love, because you're over there helping people at risk to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, not so much Iraq. Iraq was a different sort of battle, but Afghanistan, you could smell, you could actually smell evil in the area we were working in. You could sense it and smell it, and it was that was not a nice place.
Really, eh? And do you think, and like
really, eh?
Yeah, I have never really heard Afghanistan in a nice place, not lately anyway. Used in the same sentence, but I think that Maria and I have discussed this several times on other shows, that I think demonic entities are attracted to places like that because of the strife, because of the pain, the agony, so that could have been your first, touch of this sort of subject matter, right? Like, so you're...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
I want to go back to Jimmy in the bookstore really quick, because I find that really compelling, and I'm getting an impression here from the things that just the few little stories that you've shared. You were in the bookstore. The Satanic Bible got knocked out of your hand.
Thrown, yeah.
Right.
It was like...
when you met Father Martin for the first time, he said you were throwing off light and that he was honored to meet you.
I'm trying to think of the exact words. He said you were giving off lights like I never seen before.
It was like an aura. It was like an aura that he Father Martin could see, no one else could see, but it was like an aura that he was just sort of light. And when you meet Jimmy in person, I'm very much I like to be around positive people, and I'm very tuned into energy in the room and energy with people. So, but when you meet Jimmy, I don't see the lights, but I can feel he has an aura around him. You can't really explain it, but it's a very, very positive aura.
I get it, because I totally picked up on that in the documentary, because I was the one who wanted Jimmy on the show. Remember, Marie? I was like, we got to get this Jimmy guy on the show. He's awesome. And then I looked him up on Facebook. I'm like, dude, he's your friend. Contact him.
That's one of the biggest reasons why I'm bringing him in for the second chapter, is because you've got to speak to audiences. You've got to ask the audiences question. And one of the two characters that really stood out for audiences worldwide were Lorene and Jimmy. The two sort of reluctant, for Lorene, the psychotherapist, and Jimmy, they people just resonated with them because they were just normal people. There was no, not saying people had egos, but they're humble people, and they're just normal people trying to do good, and hence why we're bringing Lorene and Jimmy back into the mix for the second installment. So you've got to pick up on what audiences want and what they resonate with. So hence why he's involved.
Jimmy gives off good vibes. Good vibes.
Oh yeah.
Thirdly, he had the situation with the 3 dimes in 3 days. And now he's coming out of retirement to hopefully help an oppressed person with their situation. So what I'm getting to, Jimmy, is my impression is that you are a warrior of God. And that's why you're here. And that's why Father Martin saw the lights that he saw.
I just think it's really weird, because I really didn't get into this to be involved with exorcisms. I really just wanted to get a cool ghost picture from a house. So the way it happened, if we follow through and get this next exorcism, this will be my number 50. I counted.
Wow.
Well, exactly. There's an anniversary there. So, again, nobody wants to follow a journey with somebody who's media trained and robotic on camera. Jimmy is who he is. He's reluctant. He's nervous.
They like my nerves.
No. Yeah. You are our reluctant protagonist. So
they like your honesty, Jimmy.
Integrity, honesty, how humble you are. And by the way, you're a better interview in the car than you are with lights on. So.
They film me for my bad side purposely all day long. Hey.
Well, I personally, I want to thank you for the work that you're doing, both of you, actually.
No problem.
Because you're carrying on the legacy of Father Martin, and helping people and getting people to recognize that, this evil exists. It is a reality, and at least that's what I believe. And it's nothing to be toyed with. It's not to be, poo-pooed. It's definitely something that you need to take seriously.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? Like, we're having a good time and we're having a good conversation. I don't mean to be a bummer, but that's ultimately the message, right?
Yeah, 100%. I've got to be as objective as I can be, but nobody can remain 100% objective making a documentary or telling a story. You will slide to one side of the fence. You cannot remain 100% objective on what you're talking about. And I'm hoping with the second installment that we're all going to go through something which which hopefully will be asking a lot of questions after the film's finished. So. Yeah, and a lot of questions answered. So I mean, it's putting it on the pedestal, but that I've personally handpicked this case because this one just stood out from the rest, and it's been scrutinized by the Roman Catholic Church. It's been scrutinized by science, and she's at a crossroads now where she's still not well, and we're willing to do this. And again, as I said before, I will go on the record to say selfishly, I'm looking for answers as well as a filmmaker as well. So it's we're all on a journey, and we have no idea once we leave that chapel. After the 5-6 days, whatever it's going to take, or maybe even longer. When we're all collectively sat in a circle in a group therapy session,
we're gonna be different people after that.
Talking about what's just happened, I think hopefully we'll have a lot of questions answered within that experience.
You're gonna have to load up on some good self-protection before you go in and do that.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. So
that's going to be scary.
You probably don't have a release date yet for the new movie.
No, again, filmmaking is it's so hard. I mean, this is why it doesn't matter the quality of the film that's made. I give them a salute just to get things made in the first place. It's so hard to finance projects. So we're a little bit short on full finance for the film, but it was definitely going to be made next year. Mm-hmm. I have no idea. The first half of next year, I have no idea specifically yet. But again, it's just finding the money to get us out there, to keep us out there, and to edit the film. But worst case scenario, I'll just go out there and cut it myself, edit myself. So I'm willing to do that, whatever it takes to this woman can't carry on can't carry on any longer. So we need to intervene now and get this done. So yeah, I can 100% tell you it's going to be made in the first half of next year, and then completed by hopefully the end of the year, but hopefully sooner.
And then Jimmy, you are a host of a radio show, am I correct?
Yes.
Would you like to call that?
Sure. It's called The Haunted Chronicles on ParamaniaRadio.com, and it airs 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and it's always fun.
Is it every night?
Every Friday night. But you could cut this out if you want, Marty. I got a funny story. You said I was better filming in the car than was sitting in the chair. Well, these guys, like I said, I'm just a regular person. They mic'd me up with all these wires in my shirt with microphones, and they have this big giant camera driving around, and they're in the passenger seat filming me speak and drive around. I said, I need a cup of coffee. So I go into the little convenience store down the street, which, I know the guy because I'm in there every day, and he starts breaking them on me as soon as I got to the counter. I said, don't, shh. I said, I'm mic'd up. And he's like, what? I said, I'm mic'd up. They're filming me. And I said, guys, come in here. And they all came and waved in the window with their big cameras and stuff. So yeah, I wasn't humble that day, Marty.
To be fair, mate, you could have muted the microphone when you went to the toilet. That was pretty bad.
I kind of liked it.
His autograph. Without the guy asking, he's like, "Here you go, buddy."
Yeah.
That's funny. That's
hearing Jimmy P was not a nice experience.
Thank goodness you cut that out.
Oh no, that's made the cut. Don't worry.
Getting cut. That's all going in. Well, you guys, this has been a really fabulous conversation. I can't thank you enough for coming on and being our holiday special tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, fellas.
No problem at all. I've just sent you those 3 links on the messenger there, Skype messenger. So the behind the scenes, the 3 behind the scenes chapters that we did.
And we can share that on social media, yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You fire them out, 100%.
All right. So we always, because of the nature of the topic of our show, we always end the show with a prayer of protection.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that really quick. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Amen. Thank you both for coming on. And I look forward to, we'll have you back on when the new movie's coming out.
Oh, yes, please. Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
we'll have you back
absolutely
on.
We will. This was a treat. Thank you so much. It was a privilege and an honor to speak to you both. I really love.
Thank you.
And
yeah,
good luck
thank
with
you.
The documentary.
The actual exorcism when you go through with it. I hope it's successful.
Yeah,
Yes.
me too.
Yeah, this woman's been she's been afflicted since she was 14, so she needs closure as well. We won't leave until it's done. So
she does.
Well, God bless
you
and the work that you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And until
Thank you.
the next episode, stay scared.